Hey everyone, it's Emily the Fang Girl. Welcome back to my channel. For those who don't know me, I am an expat living here in beautiful Singapore. I've actually asked people on my Instagram what questions they want to ask me. So today I will be answering your questions. They will be totally random, but I will go through all of them and hopefully try to get the best answer to each and every single one. I just want to say thank you to two people, Hans Fua and Genki from Indonesia, for buying me a coffee. I have a link in my bio that basically if you want, you can buy me a coffee, and it's great because it helps fuel my video editing. Filming is the easy part, but video editing at night, sometimes at 1 a.m., 2 a.m., I'm still like video editing, and I am by no means a professional, but yeah, the coffee really helps. I do drink like 2 to 3 coffees a day. I think I'm actually addicted. It's quite bad. I'm trying to like wean off of it, but you know, thanks for supporting my coffee addiction. Thank you. The first question I have is from When You Observe on Instagram. Do Singaporeans use Amazon to shop for things? I would say they do, but they really use like Lazada, Shopee, and like Redmart to buy items. So I think in the US we tend to use Amazon. Like we love Amazon, but here we definitely use like Lazada and like Shopee and Redmart to buy like groceries or just buy like electronics or clothes. And if you go online, you'll see exactly how affordable some things are. I think for me though, like I am a little bit wary of buying brand name products. So when I do buy online on those sites, I make sure that they're verified, there are good reviews, not all 5 stars, perhaps with like a couple hundred reviews. My friend did buy Birkenstocks on I think one of the major companies. I'm not gonna name which one, but they were definitely fake. So you do have to be careful when buying brand name things, but if they have good ratings and good reviews, you should definitely trust them. I actually use Lazada a lot to buy Korean skincare from overseas, and it gets shipped to my house so fast. Lazada has really funny ads as well. I think I'm more of like a Lazada shopper more than I am than Shopee. I just buy all my things from Lazada. Also, I would highly recommend if you like buying secondhand items, which I do as well. Like I don't really care if you've used something before, as long as it's clean, usable, and still in good condition. I definitely still use Carousel. So Carousel is similar to like Facebook Marketplace, where it's an app where you can like sell a bunch of things, such as like your clothes or your books or your car or even your house. Like people have sold their houses on Carousel, and it is a very popular app that Singaporeans use, and I love it because I just like good deals. Like what can I say? I just love a good deal, What do you wish you never packed or brought with you to Singapore? Hands down, I wish I never packed my boots. I don't know why I thought that buying boots or bringing my boots was a good idea. In San Francisco, I always wear closed-toed shoes, whereas here in Singapore, I'm wearing flip-flops and flats and like things that are like comfortable for me to walk around in this like very sweaty, hot weather. So yeah, I wish I never brought like boots. The other thing too is like anything like coats, unless you're gonna go skiing or snowboarding in Japan or somewhere. Obviously with travel you cannot at this moment, but anything snow related I would not bring. I think you can just like borrow it from someone who also is in Singapore, but don't bring it. Like you don't need it. I really regret bringing all of those heavy clothing items. A lot of the clothes that I had to buy here in Singapore are like this material where it's like thinner, breathable. I don't I'm not like drenched in sweat when I wear it. So yeah, keep that in mind. I also wish that I had brought more of like things from Sephora. It is very expensive here. There are a lot of things that I wanted to buy here, and I was like, dang, that's expensive. So my friend actually bought me like a care package, and she shipped everything over for me, which was really nice. So I highly appreciated that. I also wish that I had brought more vitamins with me, because vitamins here are really expensive, like fish oil, women's vitamins, women's gummies. Those are things that I had to buy here in Singapore because there was a point where my hair was falling out. Kid you not, this was actually like, this is a real phenomenon that happens to a lot of people who just moved to Singapore. I don't know if it's because of the weather, maybe the water is like harder, I'm not sure. But I was on Reddit and it's actually a real thing. So like I lost a lot of hair when I first moved to Singapore, and I was freaking out. So I was like, okay, I need to start taking like vitamins. I need to take women's supplements to just kind of help ease whatever was going on, because I was literally just like pulling out so much hair. Now I do use this Korean shampoo, which is really great. It helps with like the hair shedding, and I've been eating my vitamins, so I think things have gone back on track. But yes, I really wish I had brought over vitamins and gummies from the US, because they are cheaper if you buy them from Costco or like at Target, and then buying them here was quite costly. I also just want to show as well the differences between the chargers that are here in Singapore. So this is what it's like in Singapore. It's like these 3 little nubs, and then I have this, which is, it can be used as a weapon or for charging your appliances. So this is like international, it's really friendly. So as you can see, that's what it looks like. But because I have a lot of products like my laptop and my phone and certain things are from the US, I do have to charge it in from here. I would highly recommend just buying one in advance, getting it cheaper, and then bringing it over here. I actually got this as a gift. I think this is Texpartra, designed in Switzerland. So I think actually this is probably the best converter I've had. So I highly recommend just buying a really good one and taking it with you for traveling. Another thing too, so I think books here are really expensive, and I don't know, you guys can correct me on this, Singaporeans, but when I go to like Kinakua, this is basically like this bookstore. The books are very expensive. Pains me to buy new books because I like to buy second-hand books, and when I go on Carousel they're already sold out. So I did buy a few books here and there. If you're a big reader, you're a voracious reader, perhaps, you know, buy some books, maybe like 2, 3, 4, and just throw them in your suitcase. Books are quite expensive here. I have tried to look for second-hand books, I really have. I just have not been able to get any of them. So yeah, I just started buying new books at the bookstore. Any culture shock in Singapore from an American's perspective? I did touch upon this in my previous videos, but I would say I didn't really have that much culture shock coming here to Singapore because I do speak Mandarin and I speak English. I think what really shocked me wasn't, you know, anything too crazy. I think what amazed me and what like awed me was the diversity of Singapore. And again, it's not just like the diversity of Southeast Asia, but also the diversity of like expats here as well. So, you know, you just have this like eclectic bunch of people living here in Singapore side by side, and everyone lives basically in harmony. But I will say though, as an expat, I can see you living in a bubble here in Singapore. If you never expand out of your social circle and you don't meet any local Singaporeans, I mean, I feel like what's the fun of being in Singapore, right? Like, I feel like you should expand your circles. So for me, like, I'm actually really glad I joined the Grab for Good and NAS Academy program. I met a lot of cool people through that program, people from the Philippines, people from Indonesia, people here who grew up in Singapore and are local, and just really cool people. So I think that was just great. Like, I like the fact that my friend circle is quite diverse. I think I just like talking to people in general. Like, I think some of the best conversations I've had are with my Grab drivers, actually. I think one thing that is still shocking for me until this day is just like, I remember I was at a Starbucks when I first came here, and this guy just left his laptop, his phone, his drink. He literally left everything on the table, and he just like walked out of the store. I think he went to the bathroom, and I was like, where are you going? Like, are you just gonna leave all your stuff there? And I was like, okay, I feel like it's my civilian duty to watch your stuff for you. And this guy was gone for like 20 minutes, and then he came back and then, you know, started just like resuming work, and I was like, so I think I was mind blown by that. The fact that like this was in any other country, I'm sure all of his shit, including his drink, would have been stolen. So yeah, I think that probably was like a huge culture shock for me. It is not suggested though to leave your stuff out. My friends say that as well. They're like, you know, you should still be careful. It's just like safe. Like, that's just how safe it is. Like, I don't know how I'm gonna go back to the US after that. Man. Okay, next question. My funniest story while dating a local Singaporean. I think maybe the question should be like my funniest story while dating in Singapore. So I'll just give a funny dating story. So I went on a date with this guy from Tinder, and his profile said 5'7". I'm 5'7", and I'm totally fine. I was just like, you know what, this guy's kind of cute. You know, he looks happy driving in his car. He looks like he works out. He has a nice smile. I was like, okay, I'll give him a chance. I generally like to date guys that are a little bit taller than me, but I was like, you know, why not? Let's just see what happens. I go to the date and he blatantly lied about his height. Like, he was like up to here. And I was just like, damn, like when he stood up, I was like, oh, I was like, you are not your height. And I was like, okay, whatever, like it's fine, like just talk to him and see how it goes. We end up having a really nice dinner. And then he wants to continue like talking and extending the night, but I'm like a little tired. I'm like, okay, fine, just like one drink, and then, you know, I want to go home. I'll call Grab. We go to like a bar next door and we have a drink. It's fine. We chat, yada yada. And I don't know, and then it gets kind of weird because he just like wants to drink more, and he wants to like, he just like really wants to drink more. And I'm like, okay, like, are you trying to get me drunk? Like, what's going on? But little does he know that I drink a lot. Like, I am not that like I'm a hardcore drinker, but I can definitely hold my liquor. And so we're drinking wine and we're like matching each other, one. We're drinking like glasses of wine. And this guy starts to get really red and he's starting to slur his words and get drunk. And then for me, I'm just like calm and collected, and I'm like, okay, I think I know what he's trying to do. I think he's like trying to get me drunk so he can like, I don't know, maybe it's like easier for him, whatever. I asked the waiter and I'm like, we need water. We need a lot of water because this guy needs to sober up. He drove here. And so we ended up staying there a little bit longer, and he drank the water. It was fine. He kind of like sobered up and he wanted to like drive me home. I told him to drive very slowly, which he did. It was totally fine. Generally, when you drop someone off, you just stop right in the front. And I felt like he was trying to park. Like, he was trying to park and then probably go up with me to my condo. I was like, hell no. So I told him, he was like driving. I was like, stop. I was like, stop the car. I'm getting out right now. Yeah, I wasn't really nice, but I was pretty adamant. I was like, dude, I don't care if you paid for my drinks, you paid for my dinner. Like, just because you did all of that, it doesn't mean that you get to come upstairs and come to my condo. He paused and I was like, you know, thanks. Like, I had a good night. And then I just kind of like tripped out of the car and I went home. It was a really weird date. It was, I mean, I think it was fun, it was enjoyable, but I didn't really feel it, and I didn't want to see him again. So I told him, I was like, hey, like, I think you're a really great guy. I had a lot of fun, but you know, I don't feel the energy, you know what I mean? And yeah, never talk to him ever again. But the other thing too is, on the first date, I always offer to pay. I always split. Like, I always offer to pay for my own coffee, for my own meal. Like, I am an independent woman who has her own money. I definitely always offer. But I think in this case, like, he was really adamant about paying for everything. And I just was like, okay, fine. Like, if you want to pay for everything, like, that's fine. But then towards the end, I felt like he felt entitled, like, because he paid for everything, he could do that. So yeah, I think that just didn't sit well with me. Like, just because you pay for my meal or my drink, it doesn't mean that you're entitled, like I owe you, especially when I offered to pay for my own. Anyways, ladies, you don't owe anyone anything. And men too, right? Like, you don't need to pay for her meal as well. I think you should just see how the date goes. I don't know, I'm not a love guru, but yeah, interesting experience. And since then, I have not dated. What was growing up in California like? Beautiful, actually. I am so happy I grew up on the West Coast, the Golden Coast. I think I was lucky that I grew up by the beach in Los Angeles. I had lived in a very diverse neighborhood. I had Chinese Saturday school, and then I went to college in San Francisco, and then I worked in San Francisco. So I felt like I hit the two best cities of California. There's just a lot of diversity. I definitely feel like growing up in California has given me a more like laid back personality, especially when I was growing up in Los Angeles. But I do think that when I went to San Francisco, I became a little bit more like snippety snappity, a little bit more type A, working in tech, because things just work a lot faster there. Growing up in California was amazing. Honestly, like, I will live and probably die in California in the future. Like, that's where I probably want to end up in perhaps a good chunk of my life. I think it will be in California, and then probably the rest of the parts I'll be, you know, hopefully in Singapore or in Taiwan. Which bits of Crazy Rich Asians are myths and true to Singapore? Ooh, that's good. I think the outfits in Crazy Rich Asians are a little bit too like flashy and eccentric. I think the rich people I've met here in Singapore are not as flashy. I feel like they're very subtle. Like they don't really flaunt their wealth. Like they're very quiet about it. They're very humble, at least the ones that I've met. And you wouldn't really assume that they come from very wealthy families until you start hearing things like, oh yeah, I have, you know, an air pilot license, or like, you know, you go to their home and they have a river, you know, through their kitchen. Like like there are things here and there that you like pick up on, but I think the very wealthy don't talk about their wealth that much. I think the other thing too is because Singapore is smaller, news travels fast. People bump into people. People know everyone. Like I think the social circles are quite small, so not to say like people gossip, but I think if something happens and you know your friend knows someone and that person knows someone, like I think just news just travels really fast. And I don't know, I mean, that's just kind of what I saw. I had a friend who was, you know, dating girls, and yeah, word traveled fast, and they were like, okay, this guy is dating many girls. And yeah, I think he kind of got exiled, or like, you know, just he has like a reputation now because he's just been like, you know, dating, he's just been like aggressively dating and stringing girls along. So I think that part of Crazy Rich Asians is true, that social circles are small, and if something happens, like many people will know about it. So be careful what you do. Next question from Jay. Tell us about the current new lockdown and its impact on businesses, about work visa even better. Yeah, so we've had a few COVID cases coming in, some that are actually unlinked and then some are community. So it's kind of scary because, you know, there are people who might be carriers, but they have no symptoms of COVID, but yet they're still infecting other people. In all honesty, I'm not afraid. I don't feel afraid because I have faith in the Singapore government that they will be able to fix this. And they did it really fast, to be honest. So with the new regulations, I from the top of my head, and please correct me if I'm wrong because I'm just remembering from what I read on Mothership Singapore, you can only group together in twos when you're outside. If you are part of a household, you can have two people come visit you at home. In terms of like exercise, there are no more classes that are indoors, but you can do classes outdoors. And you have to do takeaway. There's no more dining in, but you can still go shopping for groceries, for clothes, for certain things like that. So members of the same family can go out in groups of more than two people if it's for essential activities such as like attending school or medical appointments. So it has to be part of like the household or like for family. So these new regulations are happening from May 16th to June 13th. By the way, I'm reading this from the Straits Times, so there is my credibility. Yeah, you can only do takeaway and delivery. You can only gather socially. Before we could do it in 5, now you have to do it in 2. Great for dating, by the way. Working from home is now the default. And I put this on my Instagram as well, and you'll start to see small businesses who are near office buildings not do well because no one's going to work. So if you can, please support them. One of my favorite kopitiam places is in CT Hub. So if you're around CT Hub, like please go and support them. I'll link it in the caption below. For me, I've been mostly staying at home. I only go out when I go out jogging now, but I'm just kind of doing my part and staying at home and not really going out. Like I'm refusing to go out to the malls or go in places where there are a lot of people. That's also because I don't have my vaccinations yet. I'm hoping I can get it soon. I'm not too concerned, honestly. Like I'm just gonna be safe, and I've been, furiously scrubbing my hands. Even when I'm like jogging, I also you don't know, like you might be a carrier, I don't know. Even when I'm jogging, I try to jog away from like the elderly as well. But man, they are very daring. Like they just walk so close to me and I'm like, okay, like, please distance. This one's a good one. How do you keep work-life balance in Singapore? Well, now that everyone is working from home again, I think what I've learned in the past is you create triggers in your day that will help you create more balance. So like, let's say you're like, okay, I'm gonna get off at 6:30 or 7. You plan an activity or a workout at that time. So you like physically and mentally feel like you are changing, you're getting ready to engage in another activity, which is, exercising. So for me, when I was working from home, I was like in my pajamas a lot and I just felt so sluggish and bored out of my mind. But I think just starting to wear like regular clothes like this is not pajamas, by the way, it made me feel like I was being productive again, like I was actually going to work. It just put me in a different like headspace, and I think that having that trigger can also help you just feel a little bit better. I think the other advice I would give too is like, do something in the morning that makes you feel happy, whether it's like sitting in front of the balcony for like 5 minutes, having a cup of coffee to like start your day, just to like kind of warm up your day. I think that gets you just in a better mood and on a happier note. Or even like calling someone from back home just to check up on them. I think that also helps as well, so that you're not just like work. Like you have other things outside of work that you can engage in. So that's what I would recommend. Xenia asks, what is your experience with Singaporean food? Well, I have come to find that Singaporeans really like their chili sauce. I love it too, it's so good. I really enjoy going to hawker centers. I think when I first started going though, I was a little bit intimidated because the aunties and uncles just like ask for your order like right when you get there. Like they expect you to know what you want, and sometimes when there's a long line, I don't know, it's just kind of intimidating for me because I do speak Mandarin, but I think when like the aunties and uncles have like a stronger Hokkien accent, and I'm like, what? And there's like so much background noise, it just kind of intimidates me. So I think I do a lot of like pointing here and there. Julie asked, do you see yourself living in Singapore long term? If so, what would be your path? Ooh, that's a hard one. I do, actually. So I've come to really love Singapore. I think it's a great, beautiful country to live in. It is hard though, because obviously my best friends and my family is back in the US. I think in an ideal situation, I would have PR, which is permanent residency here in Singapore, which is basically granting you to be here for 5 years as a permanent residence. Perhaps whether it's like, I work for an international company that is stationed here in Singapore and I can easily fly back and forth from home, or I, do some sort of like rotational thing that I plan out for myself where it's like I'm half a year in Singapore, half a year in the US or Taiwan, and I'm just kind of like, doing my own thing, whether it's like running my own business or my side projects or doing consulting. I think that would be so amazing. I have talked about my sister who has a family now. I've talked to them about them potentially moving to Singapore as well, but I mean, who knows? That's like, I'm not sure if that would ever happen. But it would be really nice if my parents were in Taiwan and then my family was also in Singapore. Yeah, I think my connection to Singapore is and always still will be here. I don't really know in the future what it looks like, but I do know that I most likely will be coming back, or I'll have some sort of like business connection to it somehow. I just need to figure out how to make that happen. My sister, she asked, when are you coming back to San Francisco? I don't know, Jasmine, but you'll be the first to know when I know. Oh my gosh. And then she asks another one, how much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? By the way, this is like an elementary tongue twister. He would chuck as much wood as a woodchuck could if a woodchuck could chuck wood. I can't believe I still remember that. Okay, last question from Kata Peewee. Do you speak other languages? Does your second language help bridge work and cultural gaps? Yes, so I speak English. It is my primary language. I'm most native in it. And then my second language would be Mandarin. I think Mandarin is becoming a very powerful language. If you have not seen, I think in Singapore it is completely a huge advantage if you know how to speak Mandarin, because you can also order food when you go to more of like the local places. In business as well, you have a lot of these Chinese companies coming into Singapore, like ByteDance, TikTok, like Huawei, and they are coming in Singapore. And I think if you are able to speak Mandarin, it will definitely give you a leg up on your competition. Not only that, but also understanding how to work with Chinese nationals overseas, and also getting along with people who work in other countries in Southeast Asia. So yeah, I think right now the most important language, if you were to learn any other language at this moment, it would be Chinese, specifically Mandarin. I can only see truly like the development and the advantage that you would have if you can speak Mandarin fluently. I'm still trying to get there. It is a hard language to learn because it's all memorization, and it's not like English where you can, you know, pronounce like po, like potato. But Chinese is like, it's all memorization. If you don't know that ma looks like, is pronounced ma, then you don't even know what you're looking at. But yeah, being bilingual and speaking Chinese is definitely a huge advantage here in Singapore. So I think those are all the questions I have the time to answer for today. I'm really excited for you guys to see this video. If you have any questions for me in the comments below, just let me know and I can try to do my best to respond to all of them. Other than that, I hope that gives you more insight about what it's like living here in Singapore and what my future plans are. Thanks so much for joining in. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to stay along. Other than that, thanks so much and see you guys soon.